dude. I love it.
Welcome to Mornings with Matt, personal and professional development training that connects the art of acting with critical life skills and self-mastery. Presented by the Deering Acting Studio.
Alrighty, good morning everybody and welcome to Mornings with Matt. My name is Matthew Deering. I'm here with Joey Sweeney up in the booth. Say hello, Joey.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? My mic was muted.
That's cool, that's cool. We got Dakota helping out there today.
Zakota.
Hi, I'm here too, guys.
Hello, Dakota. It's good to see you, sir.
Buenos dias.
All right.
I don't know where that came from.
Well, he's
We're still getting used to a couple of Dakota's personality quirks.
We'll never get used to those personality quirks, Joey.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, let's be real.
Did you say steak?
So
No,
today,
stop.
we are joined by a very special human being, Miss Jemima Garcia. Welcome.
Good morning.
Hi there. Hey, Joey, I can't hear her in my headphones. I want to make sure that she's coming through the main line.
Can you hear now?
Say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, there we go. Now I hear.
Yeah, that's the Joey thing. That's on me, bud.
Cool, very good. I'm glad I checked. So, Jemima, how's life? How's life in the quarantine?
Life is good. Life is really good. I wasn't working for the first month because I was a server full time, but I'm working back at Dutch Bros for the time being. And I also took in a stray that we found in my sister's neighborhood. So I've been occupied being the newest dog mom in town. So that's kind of fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you know what kind of dog it is?
It's a pit mix.
Okay.
Yeah, about they said he's about over a year old, but he's like perfect. He's like, well, not entirely perfect, but he's perfect for me.
Yeah.
I felt it when I first like met him, because I was like telling everyone, like trying to find him a home, but by the end of the day, like I was just there was like a soul tie there, and I was just like, I had to keep him. And I love my freedom. I love being able to do whatever I want. Like I'm never home. And so like,
but
he
say
just came
goodbye. Say goodbye to your freedom.
Yes.
That's awesome. I had a dog like that I got in college. I found on the golf course. I was working there, and I tried really hard to find him a home. But truthfully, the whole time I sort of just knew that I was going to be keeping him.
Oh, and what happened? You still have him?
Oh, no, he's passed away now. I mean,
okay.
that I said back in college. You forget how old I am. Based on my, stunningly young, good looks. It's the hat is the problem. It hides up all the grays. So Jemima, let's talk about you. And so you're half Filipina, is that right?
Yes. No, not half Filipina. I'm full.
Full.
Technically, I'm my mom's a quarter
100p Filipina?
Yeah, I'm Filipino American since I was raised here in the U.S.
Okay.
But I grew up in a Filipino home.
Okay. So what does that mean to grow up in a Filipino home? What are the differences? How do you know? Top 3 reasons we know that you grew up in a Filipino home.
Okay.
Let's
see. Number 1, both your parents speak only Tagalog. Like that's like the main language spoken in the house, right?
Okay.
So both parents speak Tagalog, Filipino. 2, it's just different. Like our culture, there's so many different things. The food, you know what I mean? There's always Filipino food, and like people are like, what is that? And they've never ever tried it.
So what's
different.
It? So
smells a little different.
What's a good example of that?
Most people know like Filipino like tacos and burgers, you would think are like, it's called adobo. People know Filipinos for like adobo and like pancit. So it's like noodles and like this like just like meat. I don't know. I can't explain it. I'll be honest. I don't cook either. I just eat it. Like I said.
Well, it sounds good. I mean.
Yeah, it's really good. So the food, and then I would say, I don't know, that's so hard. That's such a great question though. I love that. I would just say, like Asians, we don't like, we have our feet, like we have like house slippers. You're not allowed to wear shoes in the house. Like we have I don't know. It's just different. These are so bad.
I think my wife might be Filipino too then, because she doesn't let people in her house with their shoes on either.
Yeah, shoes carry a lot of germs, y'all.
That's what she says. She's like, babe, you gotta trust me on this. I'm like, honey, you win always, no problem.
There you go.
I'll take my shoes off. How you doing, Joey?
I'm great.
You want to adjust something over here?
Yeah, I think the GoPro died.
Oh, it did die. Yeah, it's 100% dead. All right, cool. So you are Filipina Americana.
This is true.
Is that what we say? Okay. Let's see here. What else? So God's all over your bio and your questions and things. So talk to me about your faith a little bit.
Yeah. So I grew up in a Christian home. Very, very thankful for that. My mom, she like has been in the ministry for as long as I've been born. Like, head of the women's ministry. There was always Bible studies at my house growing up. Like I grew up going to youth group and youth camp and everything. And it was more of a, of course, as a child, it was more of a thing that your parents kind of force you to do. But luckily my mom, she's very accepting. She's she gives us a lot of freedom in her own ways. So I am the youngest of 4, right? And so, you know, eventually my sisters, they started leaving the church, and it was just my mom and I going to church. And I kind of, as I got older, I was able to experience God in my own way. And, you know, we all go through our trials and obstacles and everything. And so I was able to find God in my own way that wasn't really, I found God in a new way. It was interesting because we kind of had like a falling out with our church.
Okay.
And so that was a huge turning point in my spiritual journey, spiritual walk, where I kind of like, I don't know, because I grew up in the church, you know, it was just, you kind of, when you see behind the scenes of what really happens, there's a lot of, I can understand why people frown upon the church, or they have some sort of like negativity or just a bad experience towards it, because I too myself had experienced that as well. But we just not recently, but maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, I started learning about sonship through Joseph Prince Ministries. He's this pastor in Singapore. And so I definitely get my church from like, I watched a lot of sermons on YouTube and stuff. And anyway, I was able to, it's crazy because I thought I knew God, you know, like as an adult, like at 18, you know, like doing all the things like that you're supposed to do as a Christian girl. And then when you stop going to church and kind of, I don't know, I experienced God in a new way. And that's what sonship was more of truly establishing that real relationship with the Lord, where it's like no church, you know, you don't have worship, you don't have people leading you into, you know, these things. And you're just kind of like, how do I say it? Like you get to really just be in the presence of the Lord, just you and him. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's just so different, you know, it's so different. Like I literally have the best times, like the most intimate times with the Lord, like in my car, in my room. Like, I don't know. It's wild because like my mom, I was telling my friend, like, I would say like 2 months ago, I have very, very vivid dreams. And my mom, she's like my spiritual mentor. Right. And she woke me up in my dream one day, and she was just like, Jemima, she's like, God is not real. Like everything I've told you, it's fake. Like he's just non-existent. And like, I was crying because I was just so frustrated. I was like, no, like, this is not like, you can't tell me that, because I've experienced, like I myself have had so many experiences where God has been there. And it's like, no one can tell me he's not real, because like, it's the only thing that I know to be real. It's like crazy to say that, but like, I don't know. There's just been some wild stories, Matt, that's happened in my life. And it's just like so many near life death experiences. Like God has just always shown up, and it's wild. It's so wild, but yeah.
That's incredible. So,
I can go on and on.
So what does your mom feel about all this? Is she okay with it?
Is she okay with
the new church?
Oh yeah, like her. So she also, it was because she had a falling out with the church too. Yeah. At the same time, basically, yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and you don't have to go into detail on how the falling out happened.
But she's all good. We're all good. Good. Our relationship with God is the best it's ever been. Let's just say that.
Yeah, that's good. You know, it's interesting. I think that church is a really good thing. I think church is important. It's very positive. But people should always keep it in mind that church, religion, they're man-made. You know, they're not necessarily God-made. So these are a bunch of people who are people doing the best they can, and they're going to make mistakes. They're going to do this or that. There's a business side of it. There has to be, or they wouldn't keep a roof over their heads. So yeah, to keep that in check, and I always suggest people make sure that they've put their faith in God and not the building. You know, exactly. That way you can't get knocked down too bad or too hard based off of, if something went down with the church. It's like, okay, well, my faith always rested in God, not the building, so that's okay.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, well, cool. I'm really glad that you're on that journey. So I'll bet you that helped you this time, like during the lockdown and quarantine and all that, to have your faith to lean on. I bet.
Oh yeah, no, totally. I mean, it's been wild. I mean, for everybody, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
now, did you run into any stagnation? I mean, was there any sort of sadness, depression? Did you slow down? Did you speed up? How did you react?
oh man, yeah. Well, I mean, like the first month, like I said, I wasn't working, and like I don't know. It's interesting because
Well, so you weren't working, but what were you doing?
I was raising a stray. I took in a stray. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, besides that, like I definitely was questioning a lot of things that I was doing, and that's actually why like I took a break from class in March.
Yeah.
Because I was just going through some stuff, but yeah, now I'm back. But no, I definitely felt I kind of was just questioning everything because I kind of went into survival mode,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. And so, you know what they say, like, there's no room for you to dream if you're trying to survive, right?
Yeah.
And so here I am with no job, and it's just like, okay, Jem, like, so with acting, you can probably put that on the side, like, you gotta, and I have 4 different jobs. Like, I like to hustle. I like to just make money when I need it, put it aside when I don't want to, but like, so I was just kind of like scrambling around, like, okay, where can I work? Like, how can I make more money? You just never know around this time. And I don't know, things started slowing down. And I mean, I don't know, I was just kind of like, okay, well, at the end of the day, if I'm going to leave this earth, I want to make sure, like I've always said, I wanted to live I always want to live a full life. I'm leaving this place happy and doing what I love. And yeah, like, so, I came back. I'm back this month.
Yeah.
And I'm super happy about that. And yeah, I missed it. I can't wait until next week. Oh my gosh.
I know, it's going to be
studio's
amazing.
open.
It's going to be amazing. We're very excited too. So let's talk about that then. What is the studio or acting or what has it done in your life? Like, how does it impact you on a weekly basis?
Well, in the beginning, I definitely, it's nerve-wracking. Like it's super nerve-wracking. Like I wouldn't say that I was fully committed to it until like now in this season. Mm-hmm. And, you guys have made that so much, like you guys have made it super easy from the beginning. It was just more of like what I was battling within. But the studio you guys have been such like a community, like such a great community to be a part of. And like, that's so interesting that you brought that up because I was just thinking about that, how, because I have like a friend, I have one of my best friends. He's always like, Jem, you need to be a part of a church. And I don't have a church right now. I'm in the process of looking for a church home. And, I've been church hopping and stuff. And it's just interesting because like, when I'm at the studio or when I'm around you guys and when I'm like listening to what you're saying, like I get church. Like it feels so good. Like I'm getting emotional. Like it feels so freaking good. And I can't even understand like what it is, but like when I'm in class or when I'm just like around people, around you guys, like I literally like, I just know I'm supposed to be here,
Yeah.
I'm getting emotional. I'm so sorry. But no, the studio's been such a blessing. Literally been such a blessing. Yeah.
That's great. That's really, really nice to hear. So I'll tell you, hopefully where it's coming from is love. I mean, that's we mean it. We put love at the center of what we do. And I had a big awakening. February 2nd, 2018 was the day I woke up. So I had a relationship with God growing up too. I grew up in a family that was religious, but that was the time that I really connected in, and it was a game changer for me. And I was able to become free for the first time and let go of everything because I didn't need anything else, which is a really, really great feeling, which includes students. Actually, it includes all of the people here. I want people here. I understand that not everybody's ready to hear what I have to say. And so it enabled me to release completely old energy, without, I used to hold on too tight to people because I wanted to help them so badly. But the idea is like, you know, some people want it and some people don't type thing. So, so that sense of release and freedom, actually, I think what it's done is it's drawn the right people in. So now all of a sudden we're not holding on to any kind of energy that doesn't belong here. And the right people, the right energy is just being drawn in like in big waves, actually. And it's pretty exciting and really fun.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The people that I've been meeting through inside in the studio, like, just the coolest.
Yeah.
One of them, Dakota's in there. He's such a blessing. Shout out
really
to
cool too, Jemima. Thank you.
He pulled the mic towards himself.
I saw that. Yeah. And I'm glad you woke up for this, Dakota. Thank you for
Oh.
Was he napping up there, Joey?
No, he wasn't napping.
There was a hesitation.
Don't lie.
There was definitely a hesitation there. All right, so let's dive in here, and we'll wrap the show here with your question. So, you asked me, what is my take on the difference or similarities between purpose and calling, right?
Yes.
I want to hear your take first, so that I fully understand the question before I dive into that.
Totally. So for me, in short, I mean, I believe, so everybody has a purpose, right? Everyone has a purpose, but I personally believe your calling is how you carry out your purpose. That's me personally. And so, yeah, I was just curious about your take on it because sometimes I'm just like, I don't know, I believe that what is for you, God will open. I mean, and I have that mentality. Like, I believe, like, when I don't pray for signs from God. I specifically ask God, like, Lord, like, if this is for me, open this door. And if it's not for me, close it. And I will trust you. And that's that.
But those are signs.
No,
that's exactly what those are, signs, right?
Essentially, yes. But I mean, signs can be very deceiving. I mean, there's a lot of things that are super deceiving.
That's right.
You know? And so, yeah. And then so sometimes but then there's also a difference between, then I also find that hard balance of like, oh, well, it's hard work. Like, it's going to be hard. Like, things are going to be hard. So you're going to get a lot of no's and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then, which also ties into my last question of when to move on. You know?
Sure.
Okay.
So back to purpose and calling. I think I probably just fall in the same camp as you in that there's when you find your driving force, you find the thing that just excites you and gets you up in the morning, then you know that there's something inside you that just has to do this thing. I felt it back in college. I was 3.5 years into pre-med when I found acting, and I stumbled across it. It was an extra credit assignment that I was doing in one of my organic chemistry classes, and I made a little movie, and I just was doodling about it. I couldn't stop thinking about it. And so I followed it. I mean, it was burning inside me, and I just went, well, I'm dropping everything and starting over. And what that meant for me at the time, I was 3.5 years in, nothing other than the very basic prerequisites, nothing transferred. So I went back and got a filmmaking and photography degree, but I had to start over essentially. So I got basically 3.5 years of college done in about 2.5 years. And I just so I could get a degree is what ended up happening. But it was a lot of work, and it was actually weirdly becoming a doctor was the easier choice.
Really?
Yeah, because my dad's a doctor, so I had that road was paved for me. And and in a lot of ways, you know, that would have been great. It would have been an awesome thing. I wasn't exposed to certain parts of being a doctor. I was mainly exposed to the bad stuff, just like the filing of documents and the late hours and like all these things. I didn't really get to tap into how like the helping people part, because that part I would probably be I might be a doctor if I really tapped into that, because I enjoy that a lot. I remember I was working in the ER and I got in trouble for talking too much to the patients. And really, I wasn't talking. I was just standing there listening. Like, these people needed it. You know, some people didn't have people visiting them. you know? And so I was a patient care tech. I'd go around and take their blood, and just next thing you know, I'm like, 15 minutes later, I'm still listening to somebody talk, because, you know, they needed that thing. So
Yeah.
when I found acting, it was just one of those deals where I'm like, all right, this is going to be hard, like, for sure. Like, this is going to be wicked hard. But we're going to go for it. And then that was it. It was sort of like a decision got made. For the first 3 years when we started the studio, for instance, I had 3 different jobs plus the studio. So the studio made negative money the first 2.5 years. I paid everyone who worked for me, and then I took a loss, and I was bankrolling it through like my work at the golf course and the Barrow's Pizza and stuff that I was doing on the side, just trying to, you know, because this was the dream. And now I tell people, it's interesting, when we had our first business meeting, it was January 1st, 2007. We sat down with a piece of paper and a pen, and we dreamed this thing up, you know, and it's funny. It's like really funny to look at the notes, because they're a bunch of kids just writing down their dreams and talking about where we're going to go. But when I look around at what we're doing right now, it's already bigger and better than my wildest dreams back then, which is why it's so important that I've shifted those dreams and moved, you know, the goals. Otherwise, the purpose would kind of go away. So when people realize, like, you have to be you have to be adjusting your sails as you go, because if you ever reach the destination completely, you will be sad.
That makes sense. Yeah.
The fulfillment is in the journey, is in the progression forward. So you can have little wins and pat yourself on the back, but you definitely want to set your sights on the next thing. So yeah, I think purpose, calling, they're very similar. So in my mind, they kind of go hand in hand. But I guess the way I've always looked at it is, the purpose for me is what I've decided. I'm like, this is my purpose. I've decided this. And then the calling, actually, I don't know if you and I have it reversed, but the calling is like, okay, I've been called to do this. Like, I'm being told to do it. I have no choice. Like God's made it very clear. You do this thing. I can tell you some weird stuff. Like I've been called to give money before, and weird people that I hadn't thought of before, like in years, and very specific amounts. Like you need to write a check for $580 to so and so, and I'm like, I'm taking a shower, like, what? Like that's weird. And then I tell my wife, and she's like, okay, if you sure, you know. And she's very faithful, so she just says go for it. But then it turns out, like, I'm telling you, you wouldn't even believe it. Like, that's somebody's rent check, and it was like the exact amount. Like, this, just like crazy stories like that. That's where I feel like called. So here's a calling. I'll tell you a calling. The reason that Lighthouse Theater exists right now is I'm still trying to figure out the calling. But God told me, I was walking down the street outside the studio. This is many years ago, and God said, you need to put a lighthouse on the corner of the building. And I was like, all right. So there's still not a lighthouse up there, but there's going to be a lighthouse on the corner of the building. And I think the idea is that we are a beacon of light, and we're going to be calling in, we're going to be drawing in, you know, the boats, like, you know, from the danger, and the right people they're going to see the sign, and they're going to go, that's my spot. That's where I'm supposed to go, you know? So I debated with changing the company name to Lighthouse. Like I spent years on this, like trying to figure out what is this calling. And then the nonprofit came to me, and I was like, okay, I think, and it didn't come to me through me. It came to me through somebody else who was like, hey, you should do this. Like, this would be the way to do what you're wanting to do in this area. And I'm going, oh, interesting. Oh, Lighthouse. Okay. And so now we're in the process of doing that thing. But I've been called to do that. The how, I'm still figuring it out. Still trying to go, how do all these things match? Like how do I make sure that the purpose in my life is going to match up to that calling? Because I know I was called to do that thing. I just got to figure out how.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's my take on it. I don't know.
No, totally.
All right, what do you got next? We got, what is your opinion of being a Christian in the entertainment industry? Well, it's awesome. I mean, I love being a Christian, so that's a good thing. I think it's important, actually. We've been doing this for a long time. I think we've just been more secretive than we are now. This coronavirus thing just it forced us to go up and go public. So people didn't know the type of teachings we were doing before, and now they just do. And I'm sure we'll get blasted. You know, some people who are going to persecute, you know, the way that we think that's going to happen. That's expected, no problem. But what's interesting is I don't think it could be denied when you hear me work with certain people that it's coming from love. You know, if I'm right or wrong, I could very well be wrong. I have no problem with that. But it's clear that I truly love people, like really, really care about somebody growing and developing. So that will probably end up being a positive for our brand and for, you know, just the perception people have of our studio in general. But I think it's important. I mean, we've said from the beginning there are companies out there like PureFlix and different movie companies that produce stuff. And I see it as they're attacking the entertainment industry from the outside in. And I've always said from the beginning that we're trying to raise up an army of great actors who can be in the entertainment world. So we're sort of trying to impact the industry from the inside out.
Yes. Amen. That's super cool. I know. I love that. I absolutely love that.
And you're one of the soldiers.
Congrats, yo.
You know what I mean?
Go.
Like it's needed. So and you put the right minds together, and when it's right, when the time comes, you talk about doors opening. I've had recently now a few different people come up and say, hey, by the way, I want you to write a script. Hey, by the way, so and so will fund it. We want you to make this movie about this subject. It's very important. And, you know, want you to write it, want you to direct it, and, you know, we want to just fund this thing. And, you know, we'll run it through Lighthouse Theater, whatever you guys want to do. And I just said, cool, we got to wait, because I've been called to write this book. So I'm still writing the book, The Best Listener in the Room. So until that's done, I'm not going to take on the next big project. But I can tell you right now, there's going to be a big wave. Something's going to come through this studio that's going to be massive. Some big film, something that's going to connect all of us like-minded individuals that really care about this message. It's going to get out there.
That's so cool. I love it.
It's happening.
I'm excited. It's happening.
You're gonna be in the movie. I know it. Joey, look at that smile. We need that in the movie, right?
There's no denying that is a wonderful smile, right?
It's the number one smile, Joey.
It's the number one smile.
So good.
All right. So, how do we know when it's time to move on?
I didn't put it on.
You mean from acting?
I guess, I don't know. It's like a dream that you wanted, but I don't know. Yeah, like, because there's things that are just not for you. I believe, like, not everybody. You can do what you like. For example, I really, really wanted to make dance a thing, and I was training, and I was just, I don't know. I just had a feeling it was just time to give up, not give up, but move on. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's what I'm struggling with is like, cause right now I'll be completely honest. The reason why I ask you those questions is because I don't know my calling. I know my purpose. I do not know my calling. And all I know is, of course, my purpose is to bring people to the kingdom, point people to Jesus. I know that is my purpose. My calling, I don't know exactly what that is. And I'll be honest, when it comes to acting, like God's only opened opportunities. And so that's why, like, it excites me. Like, it really, like, it's like falling in love, like, all over again. It's like I get kicked in the butt, and like, it's super challenging, but I love it. I absolutely love it. Like, it hurts so good.
Yeah. Right.
You know? But, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's a negative mentality, like, to kind of just like look at it in that way. But anyways, in general, how do you know when it's time to move on?
Well, I do believe in being honest with yourself, you know, and we want to see, we want to look at, the how doesn't matter, the when doesn't matter. What really matters is the why. So if you really mean it and you're like, okay, my purpose is to push forward God's message and make sure that I help as many people as I possibly can, then all of a sudden you just say, okay, is this in alignment with my vision and values, and like, is this going to help me get there? And potentially, the nice thing about acting is potentially you could impact millions of people in one little shot. So that's why it's so huge. That's why it's such an important thing that we really dive into the entertainment world and take it very seriously. Now, having said that, like you've got to be an actor is to be an entrepreneur. And to be an entrepreneur means you're your own boss and you are self-motivated, and you got to be crazy nutso like me, willing to have 3 jobs and then go to work to lose money. And do it for as long as it takes, because quitting's not an option. It just never has been, never will be. If you think that way, eventually you succeed. I put my lottery ticket in one day, and I won because my wife popped into my life, and she's she's an angel. And what's funny is you put her face on something that we do, and without doubt, automatically. You can take whatever I'm doing and just multiply it by 35, and that's how many views, likes, clicks, or whatever she's gonna get. It's the way it is. But all that means is on my end, I got to work a little bit harder. I gotta be a little bit better. I gotta be a little bit sharper. That's okay. Like, that doesn't bother me at all. If my why is correct, then I'm driven to get up. And my why is correct in this way. The reason I'm here is because I want to spread love. I want to spread light and love. So that's why it doesn't matter who's on the show or if there's nobody on the show. The show got started because the coronavirus hit, and I said, how do I give? And Brian's like, you should do a show. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And it's been hard. I mean, it's not easy to get up and do a show every morning at 7:00. Like, that's not easy. But once you're doing it, once you're in the flow, you're doing it for the right reasons, eventually it becomes a thing. And so because of this show, we now have students in Nigeria.
It's amazing.
Nigeria. I mean, it's crazy. They wake up at 3 in the morning or 2 in the morning. They take the class at 3 in the morning, and they join us virtually.
It's amazing.
And it's because they saw somebody else, Ian, who's a faithful man, and connected into him. And then Ian was talking about them. Ian didn't even know that they were from Nigeria. He was just he was telling me, hey, this kid, reached out to me, blah, blah, blah. I didn't know anything. I just felt from the Spirit, give. So I did. And I was like, all right, well, guess what? You're going to give whoever this kid is, you're going to give him a class. We're going to send him some books. Like, we're going to do whatever, this, and this. Then it turns out, like, now it's like we're international, like, overnight. How cool is that? And it comes from love. It comes from giving.
Yeah.
So you gotta change your mentality, like you said, and just go, okay, eventually success is going to come your way, but also define the success. Because do you care if you make money or not? If this morning you brought 10 people to the Lord because they watched your show, like you on this show, I mean, there you go. You don't need more than that, So you got to find where you're at right now, and then just hold yourself accountable for making sure that you're leveling up daily. Because if you don't do that, you can't expect to see any better results than what you're already getting.
Daily. Totally.
It's got to be every day. Has to be. It's what my book's all about. Acting is my day job. To act is to do. It has really nothing to do with acting. It has to do with doing. And if you want to do your passion, if you want your passion to be your day job, I believe you got to pay taxes. And the taxes you have to pay as an artist are, everybody wants to do what we do. I mean, come on. Let's be honest. Everybody. everybody like secretly wants to be on a TV show and secretly wants to whatever, like they want to. Okay. So because everybody wants to do the same thing, that's why it's a little bit harder. So you just have to pay a little bit more tax, and you pay tax in people's judgment of you. You pay taxes in, and you have to work a little bit harder for less money at first. You have to do this. You have to do this. Like it's just the taxes that, and you go, do I really want to do what I love full time? Or do I want to do something else full time, which is fine, by the way. I want to do something else full time and then follow my passion on the weekends. So like, do I want to get a 9-to-5 job that's going to pay me 6 figures, and then from that money work on, do my passion on the weekends, and that's my hobby, and I'll work at that pace? Or do I want to go the other route? And both have sacrifices involved. Both of them are not easy. Like there's no easy path. So it's like, what's right for you is correct. But either way, it's going to take a lot of work. Like if you wanted to get, let's say, a nursing degree, or, you wanted to, whatever you wanted to do, and it's like, okay, I'm going to do this so I can make this much money so that then I can be an actor on the weekends and afford it. Well, it's all good and great, but you may not become a nurse for 6, 8, 7 years or something, and you put all this money and time and energy into that. And it's like, if I were to put that much time, energy, and money into my acting, where would I be? And then you're like, oh, that's tough. There's no guarantee, but there's no guarantee in nursing either. I know many people who have gone through the program, and then like year 3 or semester 3 or whatever it is, they don't pass the test and they got to go back. And then another 6 months, they don't pass the test, they got to go back. Now you're just in debt and you're waiting to get a job. So in life, there are no guarantees. The only guarantee is that eventually success will follow passion. And when you work hard enough and you stay dedicated and you decide not to quit, good things happen. I tell my kids, focus on the good things happen. Well, good represents God. So focus on God, and God things happen. I'm going to leave you with this story. Last night, my son's here, and he was here all day yesterday working. And what's that?
I said like a baller.
Like a baller. He was. No, my son's he's an incredible human being. He really is. He's 8 years old, and he wanted to earn some money. And so he's like, "Can I come in and work?" I said, "Sure." And so I gave him really hard jobs. He's 8, and so he had to climb up on a ladder. He had to clean all the windows. He was doing just tons of like hard labor stuff. And my toolbox tipped over, and it had a bunch of different screws and nails and different things, and it was a mess. And I was like, "All right, bud, I need you to organize all these into different baggies, all the sizes, different baggies." And he's like, "Okay." And I'm like, "You've done this before. It's just like your Legos. Let's go for it." Well, I didn't want to do that job. That job's a terrible job. Like, that's the worst. There's nothing worse than the job I assigned my son.
Yeah.
So he did it for about an hour, and he got worn down, and we did something else, and he came back to it. And at the end of the night, last night, he's tired, and he's like, "Dad, I'm ready to go home." And I was like, "All right." And by the way, it's like 10:30. And I go, "All right, bud, let's go." And he's teary-eyed, and he's like, "Am I going to get paid?" And I was like, "Well, you didn't finish the job. So we can come back tomorrow, and we can talk about you finishing the job all the way." And he's getting teary-eyed, and he's like, "Okay, I understand." And then I looked back and I said, "Or if you want, it's up to you. We could turn around right now, and we can finish the job, and I'll help you. I'll get right down on my knees, and I'll help you with that job." And he's like, he wipes a tear. He goes, "All right, let's do that." So we came back in here. I got down on my hands and knees, and we had a blast. It was the most fun we've had in a long time. It took us about 20 minutes, and the room went from looking like a disaster area, because we're getting ready for Valleywood. That's the whole thing. But the room looked like a disaster area, to being like very clean and put together. And I sat back with him, and I said, "How do you feel right now? Are you proud of this?" And he's like, "Yeah." It's a huge smile on his face. And so then I sat him down, and I said, "Hey, bud, so people are going to pay you to do things that they don't want to do. That makes you valuable. If you're doing the thing that everybody else wants to do, you don't really get paid for that. So you have to be willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do in order to rise up." And I was like, and remember when I told you, you know, to do it with a smile, and then you smiled? And he goes, yeah. And like I said, the cool thing is people are they'll pay you to do things that they don't want to do. They'll pay you double if you do it with a smile. So then I paid him double right there on the spot, and I gave him double the money. But, you know, I wasn't going to pay him right away if he didn't finish the work, because I wanted to just like impress upon him that you finish what you start. And when it's hard, that's when you separate yourself, because it's hard for everybody. Everybody runs into that moment when they've got a big mess on the ground. They've been at it for a long time, and it just feels like a never-ending thing. And it's the person who's willing to turn around and finish that gets the job done. And then I told him about leadership. The last lesson I gave him was on leadership, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, who would you say like is leading over at the studio?" And he's like, "Probably you." I was like, "Cool." So I'm like, when you were sad, and one of my teammates, and by the way, you're my teammate. And I was like, when you were upset and things weren't wrong, what did I do? He's like, "You helped." And I was like, "That's right. It's called service, bud." So what happens is when someone's in need, the leader gets down on their hands and knees and does the lowest of the low work and makes sure that whatever it is gets taken care of. That's the leader's job. So if you want to be the greatest among these, you must be willing to be the least among these. You must be willing to wash your disciples' feet. Like that. Yeah. That's the idea. And when people start fighting over who's going to be the next leader and can I be the star and can I do this or whatever, the answer is no. If you want to be the star, you don't get to be. That's the way it is. If you're focused on helping others, you're focused on making sure other people are looking good. From there, you'll find the stardom that you didn't even know you wanted.
That's amazing. I love it.
So you can do this. You can do this as an actress, and you have to serve. You got to come in with a servant's heart. Come into this industry with a servant's heart. No, it's going to be hard. No, there's going to be nails on the ground. You're going to have to do the thing you don't want to do for a long time. But from that, there's going to be so much joy, so much pride, and you'll get paid double. Whatever you think is good, you'll get paid double that if you do it for an extended period of time with a smile on your face.
Love it, Matt. Thank you. You're the coolest. I love it.
You're the coolest. All right, so we're gonna wrap the show. I wanted to thank you so much for being on this morning. You are a delightful person to speak to.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
All right, have a good one. Everyone, God bless. This has been Mornings with Matt. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, and share this channel. It sure means a whole lot to us. You can help us spread this message of light and love throughout the world by just subscribing to the channel and sharing with your friends and family. Thanks so much. God bless.
Thanks for listening to Mornings with Matt. Please like, subscribe, and follow us at Deering Acting Studio to keep up with the latest content. For more information on classes, private lessons, or professional development coaching, visit www.deeringstudio.com.